Sometimes the answer is to walk away. Sometimes the best thing for you to do is simply give somebody or a situation exactly what it wants, what it's asking for. And it's for you to back away from the situation or the person and give them exactly what they want. And you may be saying, why? Why, if this is what I really want? Why, if this is something that I've been pursuing for so long? Why, if this is something that's my passion? I get it. But what I can share with you guys is I know all about passion. I know all about wanting something so bad and trying to make it work, no matter what the situation is. Telling yourself, I know I can make this work, whether it be a new position at the job, whether it be a relationship, whether it be whatever it is. I'm a coach, I'm a baseball coach, and sometimes you're paired up with coaches where you just do not see eye to eye, but you're like, man, I'm gonna make this thing work. Or sometimes you're in a relationship and you're like, everybody's telling you, man, it's not gonna work. And you're like, no, I really like this person and I know we can make this work. We are going to make it work. We are gonna hammer this thing out. We're gonna see this through. But then sometimes you're in that same situation and that person or that situation is telling you, no, I don't wanna be here no more. I don't want you and me to be doing this anymore. I don't see a future in it. I just don't want it. And what I have learned is sometimes I have to give that situation exactly what it wants for my own peace. See, I always talk about keeping life simple. I have a sign right here in front of my TV. A little wooden sign that says keep life simple. I've referenced it on this show so many times. But I've gotten to a point where I tell myself, keep life simple. Keep it simple. Whatever is bringing you stress, whatever is making things difficult that don't need to be difficult, remove yourself from them. So a lot of you know that I've been going through this situation with coaching where I was able to coach my high school baseball varsity team this last year, my high school varsity baseball team. I was asked to come out and help the teachers who got the job. And immediately when I went out there and they asked me to run the first practice, they realized that I knew what I was doing. I had been doing this for years and they had zero experience coaching baseball. I think one of them had coached farm little league years ago, and I'm talking years ago. And immediately they said, hey, you take on the job, you're the head coach, I'll be the general manager, and the other teacher will just help out because you obviously know what you're doing and you're getting results. I can tell. I've shared this story with you guys. I'm not going to beat a dead horse, okay? But we went through the season, got these kids to become ball players. A lot of them had never played baseball before. What was told to me, and this is the build-up to the story I'm telling you, what was told to me was, I want you to go ahead and take over the position for varsity next year. I want you to be the person to handle that. I'm going to recommend to the AD, the athletic director, that you take the varsity team. And if we have enough for a JV team, we'll take the JV team. We're going to recommend that. So I was like, hats off, let's do it. I was also pulled aside and said, hey, we want to pay you out of our stipend that we get for coaching. We want to pay you through our stipend. And I said, I don't need your money. I don't need it. It's fine. And they said, no, If you're working and doing the job you're doing, you deserve to be paid. We want to give you $1,500 each. I said, if you guys want to do that, I appreciate that. Thank you. All of this went on. We started to build a winning culture at this school, okay? The kids started to win some games towards the end of the season. And quickly, as we started winning, things started to change. I started noticing the teachers that didn't want to step aside, or that wanted to step aside and give me this job and recommend it to me. All of a sudden it was like, hey, I think I kind of want to do this again. Then it changed. The conversation changed. But the parents and the families and the kids knew what they wanted, and that was to bring me back. Okay? At the end of the season, the parents had an idea of doing a petition, because I wasn't, if you're listening to the story, I wasn't on paper as the head coach. Remember, I had got asked to come out and help, and then they told me verbally to run the team. But the parents wanted to make sure that I came back on paper the following year, which is this year, as the official head coach of the varsity team. So they put together a petition, got letters of recommendation, got almost 100 signatures, and sent it to the AD and the principal. And what happened from that point on was an attitude of, I'm not recommending you for the job. I didn't know something was wrong. I didn't know the parents were going to be doing that. Sorry, I'm going to have the AD make the decision. There was never any payment for the work that I did. There was never a recommendation for me to go and take over the job and then take JV. Nothing. Fast forward to this year. I'm looking into possibly coming back. Never heard any word. I reach out. The families reach out. No response. We're trying to get this program on schedule because they started late last year. So I finally reach out. I helped set up the schedule for non-league games. So this school only had 15 games last year because they started so late. Every other school had 27 games. So I said, I'm going to do my best. Once the schedule gets released for the league, I'm going to do my best to schedule their non-league games so these kids, whether I am there or not, have a full season. And I did that. And I went into that knowing that there is a possibility that I would not be getting the job. But it wasn't about me. It was about the kids. It was more of, I want these kids to have a full season. They deserve that. So I did that. I finished the schedule. Got it all set up online through the high school sports Max Preps application. So it's all set up. So whoever coached, whether it was me or someone else, it would be all set up. I did all the footwork for that person if they stepped in and it wasn't me. Once I did that, I reached out. And I got a phone call that said, we do not have a coaching vacancy. And I said, I understand that. And then I referenced me coming to help the teachers. And the principal says, I do remember that. And I said, okay. Do you also remember the email where they said they were going to recommend me for the job? That's why I emailed you. Am I coming back? And they said, we don't have a coach opening. I said, okay, so you've hired a coach? And they said, yes. I said, may I ask who you hired? And they said, it's the teachers. I said, okay. In my mind, I'm sitting there. So you're hiring teachers who teach but never coached baseball. Your AD is a basketball guy who would never hire somebody who didn't know basketball to coach a varsity team. I know this. I know people that know that AD. They know him personally. He would never hire somebody who didn't know basketball to coach that team. He coached that team for a long time. But for baseball, he's hiring two people who have no baseball knowledge. This isn't about the kids. This is about, I just want a couple of people there that are going to do what I tell them. I don't really care about what's going on with baseball. I just want to make this easy. These guys will handle it. I don't care if they win, lose, whatever. We got two teachers. It's over with. I don't have to deal with it. Now, I didn't say all that to the principal. I heard him out. I said, okay, so you're going with the teachers? He said, yes. I said, all right. We got off the phone. I had to let everybody know. The reason why I was asking about this was because my inbox, my DMs, my emails, my text messages, everything has been blowing up about baseball. Because all I do is baseball. If you follow me on social media, that is all I do. All I do is baseball. If you go on my IG, you'll see me. I'm always at a baseball field. I coach year round. So I'm getting messages from kids that I coached. I'm getting messages from other coaches from other schools. What's going on? Are you coming back? The kids are like, hey, coach, are you coming back? We're excited. So I have to let everybody know I am not coming back. I did not get fired. In fact, I'm just being told that they want to keep the teachers, and it's easier for them if they have somebody that's on campus. And the way California is set up, if a teacher says, hey, I want to coach, they get first dibs. Now, a good AD, and I don't give a fuck if he hears this, a good AD would say, I'm glad you want to coach baseball. What's your experience? You've never coached baseball? I'm sorry. This is a varsity level baseball job. I can't have you coach varsity level. Second guy, what's your experience? Well, I coached Farm League about, 15, 20 years ago. Can't have you coach varsity. This is high level baseball. Maybe do JV since you have a little bit of experience. Maybe. We'll see if we have enough kids. That's what a good AD would do. A good AD would bring in candidates that are actual baseball coaches, interview them, go through the process, and then somehow find a way to make a teacher a liaison to the coach so they can help them handle the paperwork, handle grades, all of those things, getting kids out of class early, getting kids out of class on time for away games, notifying the coach if so-and-so is missing grades, if so-and-so didn't come to school, if so-and-so's been cutting, if so-and-so got into a fight. That's what an ideal teacher position should be connected to a baseball, whatever sport, basketball, football, you name it. I agree that there should be a teacher on campus. But this AD didn't do that, and he really didn't give a shit about it. They just hired a couple of guys that don't know baseball. The problem with this is, I got into a situation where I wanted this thing more than I probably should have. And I started having other coaches around me that are really close to me say, hey, bro, why are you fighting for something that doesn't want you, that doesn't appreciate you? And I would always say, it's not about me, it's about the kids. And they said, we understand that, we know that. The kids love you, the parents love you, but the school doesn't respect you, they don't love you, they don't value you, they don't understand what you're capable of bringing to that school. They don't care. So why are you fighting for something that isn't going to fight for you? And then I run down the gamut of things that I can do for this school. Hey, I can bring travel ball to this school. I can bring one of the teams I coach and make that our home field. We can start funneling kids from Independence. When school is out, they go into summer league with the travel ball team and continue to build. And after a few years of doing that, you notice that the system is stronger, the school is stronger, the program is stronger. Why? Because the kids who play baseball, they're working and training all the time. I can bring tournaments there to help bring fundraising, not just for the baseball program, for the athletic program. I can do all of that. And all of this will bring eyes back to the school. Like, hey, they're doing something great over there. Every year they're doing something. It looks like that school is coming back. It looks like that baseball program is about to be back on what it used to be when I went there, when the guy previously went there. I can do that. And one of my coaches says, why? They don't deserve you. They don't deserve your passion. They don't deserve your love. They don't deserve your knowledge, your skill. They don't deserve all of the things that you can bring to them to help grow that school. Because what's going to happen, even if they let you in, you're never going to be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor, because you're going to build it up. It's going to become great. And then they're going to say, boom, he's out of there. I'm going to bring this person in. And that's going to hurt you even worse, because you finally built something so great, and then it's going to be running and you're not going to be there. Why do you want to be somewhere that doesn't want you there? Why are you fighting for something that isn't going to fight for you? And I got to tell you, man, as hard as that is to hear, I needed to hear it. I had to hear it. Because what was in the way of my judgment was anger. Complete anger. Because we got guys who are coaches who are cancers to the dugout. And what I mean by that is, third game into the season last year, I stepped aside for one game because the coaches were banging heads, and I separated myself. I said, you know what, you guys, I'm going to step away for a week until this calms down, because I'm not going to be a part of this. The one game that they managed by themselves was the absolute worst game the entire season. Before the game even started, one of the kids said, hey guys, we're 0-2. Let's get on track today. Let's win this game. We can make CCS this year. CCS is going to be is the tournament. We can make CCS this year. But it's got to start today. One of the teachers turned around and said, CCS? You're not going to make CCS. You can't even win a game. Quit talking about CCS. Be quiet. This is one of the teachers that they hired that is there right now. By the way, I don't give a fuck if you ever see this either. You know who you are. You can see me anytime. The other one, physically, let me be very clear with you. Physically, they cannot hit balls to the kids to do infield. They are not physically capable because they don't really do any athletic stuff. So running a practice and doing the things that a baseball coach needs to be doing is not something they can do. One of the kids says, hey, I know the signs that Coach Ray gave us, so we're going to go through them. Other coach comes by and says, we're not doing signs. We don't need signs. When you get on base, just watch me. I'll tell you when to go. Varsity baseball. You're not dealing with small little kids. You're dealing with kids who can actually drive themselves to the game now, who actually drive themselves to school now, who actually have jobs. You cannot coach varsity baseball the way you coach Little League. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't. I've got emails that both the AD and the principal see where it's plainly stated by these coaches that they took the job because they had a bill to pay. I am not making that up. That is word for word. I took this job because I have a bill to pay. Not because I love these kids and because I've been coaching baseball my whole life and because I want to help make a difference with the baseball program and help these guys become better ball players, but simply because I have a bill to pay. The other coach sends an email, says it's very clear, Mr. Molina, that you are a better coach and should have been named the manager, the head coach of this team. I am going to recommend, as he copied the AD, the other coach, and the principal on this email, I'm going to recommend that they hire you next year as a varsity coach. Fernandez has never, and I'm glad I'm saying his name, Fernandez has never coached baseball in his life. And me, that's Mr. Pena, I have very limited coaching experience. These are the things that came out of their mouth. I share this information and I'm not worried about who sees it because the gloves are off and I am not going to that program whatsoever. There is nothing that school can do to me whatsoever because they've made their decision and I am to the point now where, fine. I'm tired of answering all the questions from the parents, from the kids, from other coaches. So here it is. I am giving them what they want. I am walking away. Sometimes you have to give people what they want. So when it all falls apart, they understand and realize what they lost. They had a baseball meeting today. And when they had everybody come to this classroom, they had them fill out a little paper. They wanted to see who was interested in playing baseball. As my name was brought up by one of the teachers, because everybody was asking, is Coach Ray coming back? Coach Ray coming back? Some of the kids didn't want to play if I didn't come back. I told them, don't do that. I don't want you guys to be 30 years old and saying, damn, I should have played, but I took the year off because I didn't play. My coach didn't come back. I didn't want that to happen. But as my name came up from Mr. Fernandez and as he's speaking to the kids, apparently he said, unfortunately, Coach Molina, and before he could finish, everybody started clapping and cheering that was in the room. I asked if this really happened, and I was told by a few of the players that, yeah, he actually had to stop talking and wait for everybody to stop clapping. And then he said, I hear you, I understand, I know he's the player's coach, but unfortunately he will not be back this year. The school didn't really want to deal with any of the conflict that was going on while he was here last year. The conflict that he is talking about is the respect that I earned from those kids. Because throughout the season, both of those teachers would have talks with me. The kids don't respect us. I don't understand why they don't listen to us. But every time you speak, I said, it's not a respect thing. I said, they just understand that you guys don't know baseball. I said, and I'm being very honest with you. They see that when you're asking, what can you do for practice? And I set you up to run drills, and then you go and run the drills and they're completely opposite of what I asked you or what I showed you to do. They tune you guys out. I said, what doesn't help is that you, Mr. Pena, is never at practice. You show up kind of whenever you want to show up. And you, Mr. Fernandez, you're here at practice every day, but you leave for 30, 40 minutes because you've got some errand to run and you know that I can run practice. So you just go run and do your errands. It's not that they respect me and don't respect you. They just know that I'm a baseball coach and they're going to learn from me, and they know that you guys are not baseball coaches. But the conflict was that. The conflict was the parents being vocal about wanting me to come back, asking him directly, Fernandez, who was on paper as the head coach, are you going to step aside next year so Mr. Molina can coach? Oh, well, we're going to work on that. We're going to work on that. Yeah, I definitely want him to come back. So he put on the happy face. He did the politician thing and said all the right things in front of everybody. But when all of those people were gone, he did the complete opposite. Complete opposite. No recommendation. Never paid money that they said they were going to pay to me. Let me be very clear. I told the school and I told these teachers I would coach this team for free. But I need to be the coach and I need to be able to bring in baseball coaches. I'm okay with having a teacher on campus that can help out with what I told you guys, grades and paperwork and all that, great. But I would coach this team for free. I don't need the money. Shit, if you want to give the teachers that money, give it to them. That's how much I cared about this program and these kids. Again, the conflict was not me. I have a very strong personality, and I get it. I understand that my personality, I have been told that I'm intimidating. I've been told that my personality is very strong, that I have been known to take over a room at times. I get it. And I'm 100% positive that is what happened with this team. When I was asked to come in and told, hey, you're the head coach, I did what I do. It's just natural in me. I took the reins of the team and we started to carve out ball players. Didn't wait for anybody. We had a lot of work to do in a short amount of time. We only had 15 games. We didn't have any scrimmages. We didn't have any non-league games, nothing. We had 15 games and every single game meant something because it was a league game. So we had no time to waste. So I had to find out who could do what, who could pitch, who could catch, who could hit, who could not hit, who knows how to throw, who don't know how to throw, who's never played baseball. If you've never played baseball, I got to teach you the basics so when you're out there, you at least look like some sort of a version of a ball player. I don't apologize for having a strong personality. I don't. I will never apologize for that. If that intimidates somebody, that is a them problem. That is not a me problem. Again, the conflict was all of that plus the parents demanding that I come back. The game that I took off, the parents were fuming because one of the kids that was pitching was a senior. I love this kid named Andre. He's on there, he's reeling. He had just given up a grand slam, give up 6 runs, and they left him in, and he was giving up more runs. and they didn't pull the kid out. And the inning just kept going, kept going, kept going. And finally, I asked one of the dads, can you go find out why they're not taking him out? He is tired and he needs to be taken out, and they need to put in a new pitcher. The dad went over there. He comes back and he says, Coach Ray, they said they tried to pull him out a couple times, but he keeps shooing them away, saying, I'm not coming out. And he goes, and they looked at me and said, what are we supposed to do? He won't let us take him out. You can probably imagine what my response was going to be, right? 100% correct. My response was, you're the fucking coach. Do your fucking job. Call timeout. Tell the kid he did a great job and put the next pitcher in. You are the coach. He doesn't make that decision. You do. So they leave this kid in. I know him because I have relationships with these kids and their parents outside of the baseball field. I've gotten to know them. I understand what makes them tick. And I know that what he's doing is staying on the mound because he doesn't think they have anybody else that can pitch. So he's like, fuck it, I'm just going to pitch. So I slowly, because my son is catching, and it's now 26 to, I want to say 3. Getting absolutely shellacked. I lean over, I walk by the dugout, by the backstop, and I tell my son, hey, Jordan. And he looks at me and he goes, yeah. I go, when he walks this guy, because I knew he was going to walk him. When he walks this guy, call timeout. You go up to Andre, give him a pat on the shoulder, say, hey, great job. I'm going to put Yaya in, go to third. Grab the ball, tell him, great job. Say, go to third, I'm going to put Yaya in. You got it? He said, yeah. I said, don't need to say nothing to nobody, just go make the call. I said, all right. 2 pitches later, he gets walked. Guy walks to first. My son calls timeout. He goes up to the mound. He taps Andre, says, hey, good job. I got you. Andre gives him the ball. No questions asked. He moves Andre to third. Yaya comes in from third. He pitches, throws, I think 4 pitches, strikes the next batter out, and they're out of the inning. You might be thinking, what did the teachers do after that? Did they say anything? Fuck no, they didn't. Why? Because they have no clue what the fuck is going on. They had no idea who even made the change. They were standing there like, confused. Maybe they were confused by who made the move, who authorized it, or maybe they were confused and curious as to how my son was able to convince Andre to give up the ball. Is because I've raised my kids to be leaders. Yeah, that part. I raised my kids to be leaders, to be strong, to be lions. And it's been like that since they were babies. So my son is comfortable taking charge. Especially when some fucking clowns in the dugout that shouldn't be there have no clue what's going on. And are going to get this kid hurt because his arm is going to be thrown out because he's been throwing too many. He was at 120 something pitches, I believe. Fucking ridiculous. The game is over. I've shared this part with you guys. This is a game that I stepped aside. I leave. I don't say what's up. I leave. My son, I know my son knows that I parked out by the street. So I walk, I go the completely other way. I say bye to some of the parents, but I don't go over there. I don't deal with the coaches and do any of that. I look over and I call them my kids because all these kids that I coach, they're my kids. I see them line up on the first base line and they start running liners. Now you may be asking, what is liners? It's running from the foul line to second base and back. That's what we typically do for cardio after a baseball game. And they start running them. And I'm all the way behind the left field fence. And I look at them and I go to the fence and I say, I see you, boys. I see you. And they turn around and throw up a peace sign and they're like pumping their fist. They lost 26-5 or something like that. 26-5. As they're doing this, I'm watching the two coaches walk out with their arms crossed, confused as to why they're doing it. Now, here's the significance to that part of the story. The week prior, I was told not to have the kids run after the game. And I said, excuse me? He said, we have to refrain from doing corporal punishment after a baseball game. I said, are you talking about the liners that we're running? He said, yeah, we can't be punishing the kids for losing games. I said, I think you misunderstood. We run those even when we win. They're called liners. Every baseball team does them. In fact, the game that we played following that conversation, as we're talking to the team, I pointed to the coach and I told him to look, because the team that had just beat us were running liners. He didn't understand because he's not part of the baseball community. He doesn't understand baseball. He doesn't get it. He called liners corporal punishment. I said, you're a teacher. Do you even understand what corporal punishment is? You might have a point if I was standing there with a whip and I was whipping every kid as they ran by me. That's corporal punishment. These guys are running liners. It's conditioning. And we do it whether we win or lose. So the significance is those kids did the liners against the coaches. Excuse me, I use the word coach lightly when I speak about those guys. Against the teachers' wishes, they ran the liners because they know that's what we do. That's how much discipline these kids learned in a matter of 3 weeks of being coached by me. And the coaches, the teachers didn't understand that. So all of this built up, all these stories I'm sharing with you, and I could not, and I still, to some extent, can't get it through my head why an AD who loves basketball, apparently who's been coaching for 3 decades at a high level, why an AD will not sit down with a coach like myself and say, listen, this is my concern, or these are my concerns. And before I agree to bring you here, can we get on the same page? Because I don't want to deal with XYZ. My frustration is from that. All of these things I shared, you as an AD and someone who's been coaching for 30 fucking years knows damn well those 2 guys do not belong coaching kids in high school. They don't. But you don't care enough to have a meeting, or at the very least, bring in another real baseball coach, even if it wasn't me. It's typical of the area that we are in my city. It's typical of the schools. It's typical of the staff members. They just don't fucking care. They don't. And you'll hear a lot of them say, well, we're not really focused on athletics. We're more focused on academics. And then you look at the school test scores and where they rank in California or the district, and they're amongst some of the worst. So that's a fucking lie. Because if you were focused on academics, your scores would be crazy. but they're not. So it's a cop-out. You're not focused on academics as much as you say, and you're definitely not focused on athletics. So which is it? And the sad part is we come from an area of our town that is laughed at and ridiculed for being a high crime area. So why wouldn't you put athletics at the top of your list along with academics? Athletics keeps kids off the streets. It keeps them on a schedule. It makes them understand that you cannot play the sport you want to play unless you keep your grades up. None of it makes sense to me. It's a complete cop-out. And like I said, I don't give a fuck if any of these people hear it. Not Bjorn, who is the principal at the school, not Yenchek, who is the AD at the school, not Fernandez, who is the quote-unquote head coach of the varsity team, not Pena, who is an assistant coach there. None of them. I don't give a fuck if any of them hear this or see this. They're not doing their fucking job, and I would tell them to their face. And there are a lot of parents that have kids that go to that school right now that would do the same and have done the same to the teachers on that baseball field. I know, because I was there. So what's going to happen now is I have removed myself. I no longer care to get this job. I don't. I have bit the bullet and I said, cool, I'm going to give them what they want. I'm going to take the advice of other coaches that are around me from other schools and other travel ball teams, and I'm going to back away. And I'm going to let the process play out. And what's going to happen is that team is going to struggle. And I don't mean struggle lightly. They're going to struggle mightily. And the parents that are there are going to lose their shit. And they're going to realize that the conflict that they thought had to do around with me being in there as the head coach was never about me. It was about the school appointing two absolute baseball idiots as the head coaches that had no business being there. None whatsoever. And when the shit hits the fan, it's not only going to be hard for the kids, it's going to be hard for those two guys coaching. And yes, Mr. Yenchek and Bjorn, it's going to be hard for both of you guys. I'm not going to warn you. I'm not going to do any of that. I am moving myself out of this situation. You made your bed, you got to lay in it. I was willing to bring the world and bring everybody that I had in my pocket, all the resources I had, because I cared about this school. This is where I graduated. This is where I met my wife, my ex-wife. This is where my kids go. This is where a lot of guys that I went to high school with and played ball with, they go there. This is where a lot of guys that I know in the coaching system coached as well and played. And you want to hear something crazy? The last 4 coaches that coach there all have the same input about the principal and about the AD. So it's not just me. And these are coaches that have went on to coach at CCS championship winning schools, at private schools who've won championships. All of these coaches are now in these other schools, and they have the same opinion about the AD at Independence that I'm sharing now. What's the topic? Sometimes you have to give them what they want. So I'm doing that. You can apply that to so many things in your life. I've learned to do that with situations like this. I've learned to do that with dating. I've learned to do that with most things in my life. I no longer try to force myself into a situation because I think I can make it work. Sometimes people don't want it to work. At least they don't want it to work with you. Sometimes you just gotta walk away. No matter how mad it makes you, no matter how much it hurts right here. Trust me, man. A lot of those kids were crying last year when I left. Crying. Giving me hugs, sending me messages. If you're on my Instagram, I shared a ton of messages yesterday from kids, parents, you name it. And if you want to talk about being emotional and things hitting me in my heart, man, it was an emotional roller coaster yesterday. But someone told me, those two guys will never have the effect on those kids that you did. They won't. And the crazy thing is you were only there for a short amount of time. And look at the impact you had. Now just imagine if the school did the right thing, brought you in to have a meeting, discussed all the concerns, and gave you the reins to the program, what you could do. My response was, I know. And then my buddy tells me, now let it go, because it's not happening. He's like, just like that girl you love so much, or that girl that you're like, man, I really want that girl to be my next relationship. Maybe she doesn't view you that way. Gotta let it go. Stop trying. Don't waste your time, don't waste your money, and don't waste your effort. It's not gonna happen. Now there is a silver lining in all of this. And the silver lining is this. When one door closes, another door opens. And in this case, I've had multiple doors open. So there are opportunities for me to move on to other schools and actually go somewhere where I'm actually being asked to come there by programs that will appreciate what I'm capable of doing. And that has me excited. And that once more has proven to me that God is great, because God knows where my heart is and he knows what I'm trying to do. And he comes through in the clutch. Every time I think he's not going to come through, he does. And it's just a reminder that, hey, if they don't want you, that's cool. Walk away. I got something for you. Remember, sometimes you have to give them what they want. Just walk away. I love you guys. Like I always say, my life isn't perfect. Oftentimes it is a mess, but for me, it is the perfect mess. Peace.